Many of you have known about myself, Keidi Awadu, I should say, aka the Conscious Rasta, now known as Chef Keidi. Over the years, we have here from this desk at LIB Radio and LIB TV been talking about the magnificent, healthy, wonderful benefits of regular fasting and detoxing. And this is something that I have taken seriously. This is probably about my 9th year now of regular fasting and detoxing. And I've learned a lot over those years, and I've really keep studying it. I've been studying it this morning as I'm writing a chapter of my upcoming book, Living Superfood Research. Writing a chapter, a series of lessons. Lesson number 9, as entitled Fasting and Detoxification. And let's share that information today. And we do encourage each and every one of you to do your research on it, but you do want to know about this incredible, powerful technique. See, most of us don't realize, and when I talk to people about fasting, I haven't eaten for such and such and many days, for as long as 42 days myself, most people look at me like you're crazy. But you know something? Most people fast. As soon as you get a case of what is commonly called the flu, most people go right into a fast. They don't eat, and this could last for 1 or 2 days if they don't eat, as well as drinking lots of fluids during a fast, including when you have something like the flu, is highly, highly recommended and highly beneficial. Fasting is something that the body naturally is aware of. The body has different processes within itself to be able to maintain during a fast. So I'm going to just quickly do a little overview of the principal areas of fasting and detoxing, and then I'm going to share with you some of the text from this chapter of my book, which I think is really quite good, quite comprehensive. First of all, I fast regularly, and for me, the crossings of the sun, meaning the vernal equinox, which we've just celebrated, this is the 3rd day of spring. That's the vernal equinox, the summer solstice, summer solstice, the autumn equinox, and the winter solstice. So the first day of spring, first day of summer, first day of fall, first day of winter, I go on a cleansing detox fast. I know in advance when it's going to happen. It doesn't take me hemming and hawing and back and forth myself. Oh, am I going to be ready? Oh, that's not, well, let me wait. No, I just know when to do it. Secondly, for the period of fasting, some people fast 1 day a week. Some people fast several days or maybe 1 weekend every month. For me, fasting every quarter of the season for a period of time in cycles of 7. So a short fast will be 7 days. A longer fast, and probably a standard fast for me, will be 14 days, because it really takes 14 days or more for me to go through the 7 different procedures of my detoxification. There can also be a 21-day fast, which many people do recommend and promote and market. And there also can be a 28-day fast. I like keeping things in cycles of 7. Again, my longest fast was 6 cycles of 7, going for a total of 42 days without eating anything, only using liquid as nutrition. Also, so let me just take you through the 7 phases of the fasting, and then I'm going to go into more details on all of these. Stage 1 is initiation of the fast. How does the fast begin? And also, as you're beginning your fast, you have to recognize that your body will go through certain changes which can be disruptive. You can go through the hunger phase. That's perhaps at least disruptive. You can go through sugar crash, where you get hypoglycemia, where your blood sugar level goes so low. That can be disruptive, significantly disruptive. You can also go into, and the fast is really about, to a great extent, it's going into ketosis. Ketosis is where your body is burning fat as its primary energy, as opposed to burning the glucose or glycogen that's in our bodies, that's converted from the carbohydrates for a food source. Ketosis is a beautiful thing. It's beautiful to see the fat melt away, and this is real. This is not the fake stuff from those fake diet pills and all this this stuff that people do in the course of dieting. I don't even know if I want to talk about that because that's just a bunch of mess. It's really awful. Trust me on that. The things people do in order to quote unquote burn fat. Take this pill, burn the fat away. It doesn't work like that. The body doesn't even know what those commercials mean. But ketosis, when you start to burn your fat as primary fuel, what happens is the toxins and the poisons which get stored up in the fat, they come loose and they go into the bloodstream, and that can be a little disruptive. We'll talk more in detail about that as we get into the text of this chapter. The next phase after initiation is colon cleansing, one of the wonderful joys of one's life. And that may sound like a joke, but it is not a joke. Keeping one's intestinal tract clean and swept through and pristine is one of the greatest things, one of the greatest lifelong habits we could ever maintain. Colon cleansing is very important. There are various ways of approaching this. I have my way, and I'll talk to you about that in a second. The third phase of the fast is parasite cleansing. Very important also. You know, one of the things is when your intestinal tract gets empty of food, I mean completely empty of food, and you're still using a lot of energy, one of the things that does occur is your body then starts scavenging for stuff to eat. It will eat the parasites that are in your intestinal tract. That's true. As well as the environment, the climate for the parasites becomes severely disrupted because there's no nutrition for them. As well as non-beneficial bacteria which are in the gut will be consumed also, probably along with the beneficial bacteria. So after a fast, it's good to rebalance your gut bacteria using probiotics. Part number 4 of our fasting is targeted system cleaning. This is where a whole series of different juices are used. Most of the time, 100% of one juice on one day. Only that juice and water will be the whole meal for that day. And you use specific juices to go to clean the fat out of the blood, to flush out the urinary tract, etc., to flush out the optic nerve system, to boost up antioxidants and those type of things. Liver detoxing becomes very clear. Fifth phase for me, and actually, if I've got this out of sequence, it should be the fifth phase and the fourth phase. I'm going to switch those around here because after cleaning the colon, for me, the next thing to do is chelation therapy, which could be done in the fifth phase. Maybe it would be best done in the fifth phase. That way, after colon cleansing, you can get a little bit of energy back from the sugars that are consumed in the fruit juices. But the fifth phase they have on here is chelation therapy. That's where you use chelating agents, and we're going to talk about different chelating agents, including the one that I use, which is sodium dicalcium ethylene dialene. No, that's not dialene. I can't remember. Ethylene dialene tetraacetone. I think it's yes. Ethylene dialene tetraacetone. I'll get the exact name for you here in just a second. Just remembering these long chain molecular words in case I ever get an argument or a debate with somebody who thinks they know everything. And I say, well, tell me, what do you think about, ethylene, or that long word. After chelation, chelation is to remove heavy metals. There's so many heavy metals that we are exposed to in our life. Some of them, lead and mercury, arsenic, cadmium, we're very well aware of, but we don't realize it's a whole spectrum of metals. And as with electricity, when too much metal gets into our electrical circuits, they can short circuit those electrical circuits. And so hence, heavy metal toxicity has long been associated with a number of neurological disorders. Very, very important. So after the chelation therapy, the sixth phase of my fasting regimen is called cellular rebuild. And that's the wonderful part of it, because that is the part of the fast when I'm still not eating solid foods, but I switch over to liquid diet. And if anybody's out there seen that film, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, you'll understand the miracle of liquid dieting or liquid nutrition. Don't even like the word diet. It really doesn't fit the word's been so corrupted by these commercialized exploitation and non-effective sources that we use the word nutritional pattern or some other indication. But by going to strictly liquids as nutritional pattern, it is really miraculous, especially after you've cleaned out your intestinal tract and it is pristine and the walls are absorbing nutrients at the highest efficiency. Liquid nutrients just are awesome. So during cellular rebuild, during the first 5 phases of the fast, the weight comes off. Here I've completed 3 days. The first day of this fast, I woke up, I weighed myself the same time every morning. I weighed myself the first morning and it was 154.6 pounds. I weighed myself the 4th morning. After completing 3 days, I weighed myself the 4th morning and I weighed 148 pounds even. So hence, in 3 days of water and the first day of colon cleansing, my weight reduced itself by 8.6 pounds. Now that's pretty impressive, especially combining that with the fact that my morning exercise routine this morning was really pretty awesome. So in 3 days now, getting back into my fasting season exercise routine, because there's a tendency to want to get low energy and sloppy and lazy and weak during a fast. Fight that tendency by working out. Get your exercise on. You'll find after 2 or 3 days, your exercise pattern grows dramatically. I've added about 25% to my reps on my exercise pattern in just the first 3 days, or every day for the first 3 days of my exercise pattern. And one of my favorite things to do during fasting or exercise period was always doing sit-ups. In the morning I would do sit-ups. And it was on my longest fast of 42 days that on the final day of that fast, I did the greatest number of sit-ups that I've ever done in my life. And in one set, no breaks, I did 280 sit-ups. Now, for many people, doing 50 is quite challenging. 280 was really quite spectacular. And I've heard of other people who have topped that quite dramatically also. So the bodies are capable of these miraculous elements. And then, so that's the cellular rebuild. During cellular rebuild, the weight has been reduced. Probably during this fast, my weight will go down from the peak of 154.6. It'll get down to about 140 or so. That'll be a total of about 16 pounds, which would be slightly over 10% of my body weight. And then when my weight gets down to 140, I'll start going to denser juices to keep it from going under 140. I don't like my body weight to get down too much lower than that. It will go under 140, but I just look a little bit anemic, even though I'm really strong and really healthy at that low weight. And that was the weight, I weighed about 140 or maybe less when I was 18 to 21 years old. And by no means are we weak and anemic when we're 18 to 21 years old. Our body's in an incredibly powerful energy and DNA-rich phase of our lives. Very, very important. And then the 7th phase of my fast is post-fast maintenance. And as you know, post-fast maintenance for me is nutrition, and living superfood is where I have been now for 2 years. And I guess it'll be just over 2 years now. And I love it. I love it. Post-fast maintenance also, your weight will rebound somewhat, especially since much of your weight is the amount of material that's in your intestinal tract at any given time. But because you've cleaned out your intestinal tract, the matter that you eat, especially eating living superfood, will move through you much quicker. You will get a lot of nutrient absorption from it, and it moves through you quicker, and it just brightens up your whole season. This really does work. So we've gone through just a brief overview of the 7 different phases of Keidi's fasting and detoxing routine. Other people may have different ways that they do it, and I encourage everybody out there hearing this message to do your own experimentation, do your own exploration, and find out just how you best can do your cleansing, periodic cleansing, fasting, and detoxing. If you want to know more information about what I'm talking about, do visit the website livingsuperfood.com. Livingsuperfood.com. Again, my book, which is out, and I don't have it handy, is called livingsuperfoodrecipes.com. Working on the second book right now, and I know I'm about more than halfway through getting the text together. It's going to be really informative, really awesome. The book will be called Living Superfood Research, the Understanding the Theory of Full Spectrum Hypernutrition. Hey, we're doing the best we can to liberate everybody out there, and freedom through food and being able to eat as much as you want. Of course, when you're not on your fast. When you're on your living superfood maintenance diet, you can eat all you want, but it has to be of high quality, nutrient rich, dense, easily digestible, non-contaminated, non-corrupting foods. Therein lies the challenge. How do we do all that? Well, through research, through science, through understanding, and through, having the ability to read the back of a package and decide, there's a word that's too long for me to pronounce. It must not be food, and things like that. Techniques that we're definitely going to be showing you, especially in the third book of this series, which will be Living Superfood Remedies, which now goes to specific disorders for specific conditions. And I tell you, people, I'm shocked and not shocked, but why I'm seeing around just my associates, friends and associates, and friends and associates of friends and associates, there seems to be a wave of chronic disease going around. And don't dismiss this too lightly. The news media gives you hints about it. As I tune into news media all day long from a myriad of sources, they give you hints about it, but two things happen. One is they don't really give you several things happen. One, they don't give you the true impact of how devastating this is in society. And we're talking about homicide always gets the news, but the fact of medically induced or what is called iatrogenic mortality, death by doctor, that outnumbers homicide by a factor of homicides in the U.S. today, I think, are about 50,000. Whereas death by doctor is 800,000. So that's a factor of 16 to 1. Homicide gets the headlines, but in every city and every day on every newscast, if they listed the number of people who were victims of iatrogenics, that's all the newscast would be. Also, the news media tends to give you silly solutions and promoting solutions that are actually part of the problem in the first place. And also, just quite simply, most of the people giving you this information in the popular news media are just not very well informed. They're news readers. And they give out just awful information and then make jokes about it. And I detect that they're making the jokes because they really don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're just reading stories. And the last point is that many of these news sources have to protect their sponsors. And we don't have to be